Did you ever wonder what could have been with the AWA had things gone differently? Had their fortunes gone differently? Had certain wrestlers not left and perhaps more money would have been at the disposal of the Gagnes? Well, wonder no further. You can go to Brad Drake's YouTube channel and experience the 1987 Supermod for yourself, as Brad Drake starts off in May 1987 along with Greg Gagne, Baron von Raschke, Vern Gagne himself, Nick Bockwinkel, Larry Zbyszko, Kurt Hennig, and a slew of others as he plays and saves the AWA.
Hey everyone, this is Brian Ferguson, the host of Bumps and Thumps, the talk of wrestling. I know if you're listening or watching this that you enjoy the podcast. In order to continue the podcast, we need financial support from viewers and listeners like you. There's a few ways you can do this. One is by going to anchor.fm/Brian, BRIAN -Ferguson, FERGUSON, the number 3, and click on the support button. There you'll have choices of how much you would like to make in monthly contributions. You can also go to our Teespring store, where we have products such as this shirt, which is comfortable, durable, long-lasting. We have glassware. We have other great products that I know you will enjoy. We have PayPal. And through there, you can just make a contribution of whatever you want, and it will support the podcast. Again, thank you so much for all of you watching and listening today. And if you can, please support the podcast. Give a little bit, it'll go a long ways, and we can get those wrestlers and people on here that require financial compensation. Thank you again, and enjoy the podcast. Thank you for joining another edition of Bumps and Thumps, the talk of wrestling. I'm Brian Ferguson. My guest today is the daughter of WWE legend and Hall of Famer Sergeant Slaughter, and is a fitness enthusiast. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome Ms. Kelly Slaughter. Kelly, thanks for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Brian, thank you so much for having me.
This is great. When I reached out to you, I'll be honest, I didn't expect a reply. Just because, you know, your dad's a well-known legend, and you probably get bombarded with a lot of requests for things. So I was like, I'm a no-namer, she ain't gonna know. But I'm glad you did. You responded very quickly, actually, and I greatly appreciate that. So again, thank you for coming on today.
Absolutely, no problem.
And I want to talk a little bit first before we get really into it, is about your Spartan fitness program that you've been doing. If people follow you on Facebook, tell us a little bit about the Spartan Fitness and what's going on with that.
Okay, well, so I'm training to do a Spartan Beast, which is a 21K. Which is like a half marathon. And there's 30 or more obstacles that go along with that. And so the training program that I've been doing the past 4 weeks, I'm taking a little break from it right now, and I'm doing a challenge. It's like a fitness challenge.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go back into the Spartan training in like 4 weeks or so.
Okay. Great.
But yeah, so that is what I am training for right now.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I've seen on Facebook your daily postings of your workouts and
my workouts. Yeah.
Yeah. What you did and your times and your all the little analytics that go along with it. And it's great. I mean, I couldn't do it, I'll be honest with you, but hey, I'm a little bit older than you, so yeah, but that's okay.
2 years ago, I couldn't have done it either.
Well, that's good to know. So see, there you go.
Everyone starts somewhere, and baby steps for sure. I started with baby steps. I could not walk a block. without wanting to fall over and die.
Yeah.
And now I'm working on my trifecta and my Spartan, which is doing 3 races in a year.
Oh, wow.
And next year I'm going for a double trifecta.
Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot of work too. I know it takes time from your family, and I'm sure that they support you 100% on it. So that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yes, they do. Absolutely.
All right. So that's great to hear. And we'll have some information in the description about that, the Spartan in the bottom there. So I want to talk a little bit about, if we could, Kelly, about growing up. You are the daughter of a very famous man, Sergeant Slaughter, Bob Ramus. I met your dad actually in person at WrestleCon in Dallas back in end of March, early April.
Oh,
Yeah,
of this year?
Of this year, yeah.
Oh, cool.
And he signed my action figure. I don't want to say toy because that's what my wife calls them. They're not toys, they're action figures. He signed it, asked me where I was from, and I told him I'm from Rice Lake, Wisconsin. He goes, well, I got to tell you something. I said, what's that? He goes, my very first match was in Rice Lake, Wisconsin with Paul Pershman, aka Playboy Buddy Rose, in 1972. And I was just, oh, wow. I was like 2 years old, but that's great. So interesting fact, I didn't know about your dad. So
yeah, I actually posted that picture on my Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you want to follow me on Slaughter Daughter on Facebook, or Kelly Slaughter on Facebook, but yeah, I posted it on both of those.
I'm gonna have to go back and find it now.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. So Kelly, tell us a little bit about growing up in a wrestling family. I'm sure it had its pros and cons. So talk to us a little bit about that. How, when as a child growing up, tell us a little bit about that, if you would, please.
Sure. My dad wrestled since before I was born. So to me, it was just a total normal experience. To have my dad be on TV, and I thought everybody's like had somebody in their family that was on TV or that was famous, or was a celebrity of some kind. Because a lot of the kids when I was younger, that I would hang out with when I was with my dad in his business, were wrestlers' kids. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but then I got a little older and wiser and realized not everyone had, that. And, then it became like this cool thing.
Yeah.
Definitely had some perks, going to Disney World a few times with my dad, and he was a contestant on Goofy Games.
Yeah.
And they had, I don't think it was televised, or, well, maybe it was, I don't know. I was too young to care about that kind of stuff, but we would like go through like the underneath of Disney, you know what I mean? Like the stuff that normal tourists don't get to do.
Right.
And so it was totally normal for me. So I didn't realize that not everybody gets to do that. So then when I went to Disney later by myself, like on my own dime without my dad, like I was like, this is like totally different. Still a great experience, but man, totally different.
Yeah, you don't get to go underground and get into the, wow.
No, or, get like first in line on the rides and, so, having him as my dad definitely had its perks in those kinds of ways,
Yeah. I can
being
imagine.
Spoiled in those ways.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you, at times too, people probably were not very kind.
Not always. They were not
your
always.
dad, wrestling's fake and all that kind of stuff. That just drives me bananas.
Yes.
I'm sure that was kind of hard on you, especially as a child. How did you deal with that? I mean,
Yeah, I got wrestling is fake a lot. And then when he was the Iraqi sympathizer, I
Oh,
really bad. But I
I-
got it before.
yeah,
You know what I mean? With the whole
yeah,
wrestling's fake and
yeah.
that kind of thing. And I would just be like, no, it's not, And to me, it's not fake.
Mm-mm.
Like there's storylines and there's a predetermined outcome.
Correct.
But
Yes.
I mean, those wrestlers are very athletic,
Yeah.
and that is 100% a sport. And it is, to me, it's not fake because that shit hurts.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to some matches where, I mean, and on the indies especially, where they're breaking in,
Yeah.
and those guys, they got rope marks on their back. I mean, from getting whipped so hard into the ropes, they when they get slapped into the chest, it ain't no little light slap.
No.
And it's they're breaking their teeth in that, and it's not fake. You're right. There's a predetermined outcome. There's a storyline, but when somebody gets thrown around some,
Slammed and, yeah, that's totally 100%
yeah,
real.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
You brought up
Now,
some. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, was my dad really an Iraqi sympathizer? No, that's fake.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that a little bit. Your dad, when he played that role, I know it was good heat. He got a lot of heat, and they wanted it. He got it. As a child, for you, I mean, I'm sure you weren't that old. You said you got some flack. I mean, were people really like upset and calling your dad names and calling you names? And yeah, I can.
Yes, so I got it a lot in school,
Mhm.
mainly from the boys. I mean, the girls,
Yeah.
but I got it a lot from the boys, and being told I had this like really cute outfit on, and it was like black and white stripe, and like being told that I was gonna go to jail. Like I was already in like the jailbird outfit, and that I was gonna go to jail just like my dad for being a traitor and things like that. But then outside of school, I mean, I got it in school bad. And don't get me wrong, because I did give it right back to them. And
Right.
I would tell my dad things that the kids would say to me. And he would laugh and think it was funny. And I'm like in tears, And he'd be like, well, that was a good one. I mean,
Yeah.
And and I'd be like, no, like give me some comebacks. Like this is your job. Like you literally talk shit to people. Can I cuss on here?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I'm like, you literally talk shit for a living.
Yeah.
Help me out
Help me
here.
out. Yeah.
So he would say every now and then he would give me something to say, but most of the time he would just laugh and say, just tell him we're laughing all the way to the bank. And
Yeah.
little Kelly didn't understand what that meant. And I'm like,
yeah.
picturing my dad laughing all the way to the bank. I'm like, I don't even understand what that means. So I don't think I ever used that comeback, but yeah. So outside of school, we had death threats and bomb threats on the family, on Vince's family, on the WWE offices, on my dad. And so, Vince, called my mom and told her, like, Diane, this is what's going on, and this is what I'm going to do for you. And so he had, we have like security, 24-hour security living in an RV outside our house.
Wow.
We had like security, like surveillance, like cameras and things like that. My dad had us on a bulletproof vest. They followed us everywhere we went. If we went to the mall, they followed us to the mall. My mom went to the grocery store, they followed us to the grocery store. They would follow us to school, but they didn't like stay at the school. They would leave. I guess they felt that we were safe once we were at the school, but the schools were notified that this is what was going on. So it was a pretty big thing in our personal lives when all of that happened.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, Brian, is that I took some time with my dad and was watching some old promos of his
Mhm.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I started getting like really mad and angry. And this was, 20 years after the fact.
Yeah.
And my heart's like racing and I'm like ready to like reach over and strangle him. And so I told him, I was like, Dad, no wonder people wanted to kill you and kill us. And like you had so much heat on you because damn, dude, like I want to kill you right now. Like,
Yeah.
he had my blood boiling and he's my dad.
Yeah.
And he's sitting right next to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. In fact, the action figure I had signed, your dad signed, was when he was the Iraqi.
Oh,
Him
nice.
and Iron Sheik, well, Colonel Mustafa.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was pretty neat. Yeah, great guy, by the way. Talked to me for like 10 minutes. It was great. I was like, "There's a line." Oh, it's okay. Don't worry, they'll be fine. And I was like, "Okay, cool." No, he was really nice about it. I mean, because some guys, they just sign it and talk to you, "Hey, how you doing?" Great. Then they have you move on.
Yes.
Your dad was like talking to me about stuff and really great. So
He loves his fans.
yes.
He appreciates his fans. He's always made sure to give time to his fans.
Yeah. Oh, he said to me, because I asked him about coming on here, and he's really busy. He said he was doing a podcast with you for a while. I noticed you guys did one. How did that go over? How did that go for you guys?
Yeah. So I mean, it's still going. It's
Yep.
Slaughtered Otter Official on it's Slaughtered Otter Official on Facebook and on Instagram and on YouTube.
Okay.
But yes, it is. We're actually filming next weekend.
Oh, great.
Yes. So I haven't decided if we're gonna go live yet or not. Live still makes me a little nervous sometimes.
Yeah.
But we'll see if we go live or if we record it. But yeah, I basically started the channel because my dad will not write a book. And he's had people for years. Well, first, we've been telling him for years, you need to write a book, Dad.
Yeah.
You need to write a book. And he just, he's had all these ideas of how he wants to go about writing the book. And it just never happens. And I've given him tape recorders. We even gave him a laptop so he could type it out. Tried so many different angles. And so I was like, you know what? His stories need to get out there.
Yeah.
And so let's do a YouTube channel and let's get his stories out there.
Yeah.
And I have thrown in, I have a whole episode about Spartan and the Spartan races that I've done so far. And it's really fun. And if you're interested in doing a Spartan, definitely take a look at that.
Yeah.
And I could literally talk about doing Spartan and OCR races all the time, all day. I love it.
That's great. That's great. That's great. Kelly, I want to talk. Did you ever think about getting into wrestling? Did you ever cross your mind when you were younger? Like, hey, you know what? I want to do this too. And, if you did, what was your thought process about it? And why you never did do it, I guess, too, also, if you don't mind.
I wanted to be a wrestler. I wanted to fight the boys. I wanted to be the girl fighting the boys. And the only female wrestlers that I saw in wrestling at that time was Glow, which to me was very campy, and they were not fighting the boys. They were fighting each other. And it was, to me, more like cat fighting, It wasn't what I wanted to do.
Right.
And then in the WWE, Miss Elizabeth, who was, a manager and was arm candy. That is not what I wanted to do either.
Right.
And so I guess because I didn't have those role models for myself, they did come later, but
Yes.
it had already passed me by,
Yeah.
Um, I would love to do it. Like now at this point in my life, like where I am in my fitness journey and everything, like I think it would be awesome. Like I would love to do it.
Yeah.
My body, however, would not love it.
Yeah.
Most people are retiring from wrestling when they're my age, not
Yeah.
like starting out
Starting
into it.
out. Yeah.
So I think it's too late for me. But I mean, I could do like the whole manager thing, but then I'm like, but I said that I don't want to be arm
Yeah.
candy. Like
Yeah.
I want to be the one kicking the ass.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Oh, I understand that. I
But
understand
you
that.
never know. I
Yeah.
won't say never. I won't say never.
Maybe just one match sometime. You never know, right?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I would love to. I
Yeah.
think that would be like cross it off the bucket list and,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it would be totally fun and I would
Yeah.
have a great time doing it.
Yeah.
I just think that I'm a little old to have a career in it right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Would your dad, did your dad ever, I guess, discourage you, I guess would be the word, from doing it
Yes.
when yeah, I figured,
Yeah. He, even to this day, he's the one who told me, no, Kelly, you can't, you're too old. Most people are retiring when they're your age. But he's like, he never wanted the wrestler life for me
yeah.
or my sister.
Mhm.
And my mom didn't either. My mom didn't even want my dad to be a wrestler. They met a long time ago before he was a wrestler.
Yeah.
And, you know, she didn't want him to be a wrestler because she didn't want him to be gone all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what he ended up doing. So she didn't want it for me. He didn't want it for me. He still doesn't encourage me to do it. It's a hard, hard life.
Mhm.
I mean, though there's no off season.
Mhm. Yeah.
You're always on. You have no chance to rest and heal if you need to, unless you're out. And then when you're out, you're not making any money. You're not getting any paydays,
Yeah. No
you
payday.
know,
Yeah.
no payday. So it's a hard, hard life for sure.
I'm sure that there's probably a lot of times where your dad wasn't there because he was wrestling for special events for you, and sometimes that can go bad. I can tell by what you talk about your dad. You're very fond of him. You respect him, so you have a good relationship with him, and that's wonderful because some wrestlers don't. Unfortunately, they miss the boat, and it's tough life. It is. I mean, I've never been a wrestler, but I've talked to a lot of them, and they all say it's a rough family life. If you're single, and don't have any kids, yeah, it's great. But once you start a family, it's a whole different.
Yeah. 100%. And that's, my dad's like, you've got children at home
Yeah.
right now. Like, you don't need to be going and being gone all the time. You need to be with your kids. And he's right. I mean, a little bit here and there is fine, but again, to have a career right now at this point, it's just not,
Yeah.
but I really think that my dad, because of my mom,
Hmm.
she did not allow Sarge in our house. Like Sergeant Slaughter was not allowed in our house.
Yeah.
Bob Remus was allowed in our house. Dad was allowed in our house.
Yeah.
But Sarge wasn't. So Sarge was left at the arena, and my mom wore the pants. So my dad did too for certain things, but
Right.
that was her house for
Mm.
months at a time while he was gone.
Right.
She was the one raising the kids while he was gone. So that's like her territory and her domain, and he's the one coming into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For a weekend and then taking off again. So it's like, who are you to come in here?
Right.
I would be the same way, but
Yeah.
from my
Yeah.
mama.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she like wore the pants, and I think it really humbled him, and it kept him, his feet on the ground, and it didn't allow him to get a big head.
Right.
And she's like, when you're home, you're a dad, and you have two daughters that need you and they love you, and you have a wife, and
Yeah.
you haven't been here. You need to be present and in the moment, and
Yeah.
sorry can go away.
Right.
So when people ask me like, so did your dad like tell you to like drop and give you 20? No, because my mom would not let him. Now she, on the other hand, did. No.
Yeah, no, my wife runs the house here too. I mean, our kids are all grown, but even when they were little, I mean, it was pretty much the
I
same.
mean,
That's how it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, we like run the house. Like when you're not, what do you think happens when you're not there?
Yeah.
And that's if you have a stay-at-home
Mom.
partner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And well, I'm gonna go off on a tangent. Never
That's
mind.
all right. No, go for it.
Well, I was just gonna say the problem is that women still have to fill the stay-at-home mom role when they're working.
Yeah, absolutely.
So even if they're working 40 hours a
Yeah.
week, they still have to be the cook and the maid and the limousine service.
Yeah.
The counselor for their partner.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Moms do it all. They really do. My mom's she's the same way. I mean, she worked when I was a kid, 40 hours a week, still had to come home and do everything you just said. So,
Yeah.
and I have a lot of respect for her. I have a lot of respect for, moms and women in general, but I'm saying, when so I understand. And I totally get it. So
good. I'm glad you do. I can continue the conversation then, since you agree with me.
Yes. All right. Thank you. All right. So Kelly, what are you doing? I know we talked about your Spartan Fitness. You have a day job, obviously. What are you working on? Any other projects? I know you're working with your dad on the podcast. Are there any other? And you talked about training for your Sparta. What's it called?
Spartan.
Yes.
Yeah.
What other projects are you working on?
I don't have any other projects coming
That
up.
takes up all your time, right?
Yes, it does take up all my time. One thing that I am working on is I'm trying to get my friend Zazel, who lives in Australia. He's the head of Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse on YouTube, and he's coming from Australia to the United States for Joe Fest next June or July, next June. And so that is something that I'm working on with him, trying to get him over. He's got a GoFundMe, and he's going to be having giveaways. And so definitely check that. We're going to do like this whole like Zazel coming to America type of thing.
All right. Like Eddie Murphy?
Take him all these different places.
All right.
And I'm going to make him do a Spartan workout.
All right.
Make him do a workout with me, and I'm recording it all.
Don't hurt him.
My whole plan is to hurt the man.
Oh, wow. God, okay.
I'm just kidding. But it is funny when friends get hurt. I'm just saying.
Right. Well, I know, I know you're busy and you have a family you're taking care of. You said your daughter earlier. Is that do you have any other children? Is she at right now?
I do. I have a son who is 10 going on 11.
Oh boy. Yep.
a full house. And then I
Yeah.
have another son who is 52 this year. My husband.
Your husband, okay.
Child. I kid.
Oh, I'm sure he's a nice guy.
He is.
Yeah.
He puts up with me. He's a good.
I think it's probably the other way around. You probably put up with him.
We put up with each other.
There you go. All right. Well, Kelly Slaughter, thank you for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it.
It was my
And
pleasure.
it was great to hear your stories about your dad and yourself and your experiences, and good luck with the Spartan, those challenges, and I wish you the best of luck. So
Thank you. Thank you so much.
all right,
Thanks
again.
for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on again, ladies and gentlemen. Ms. Kelly Slaughter. If you're watching, thank you. If you're listening, thank you.